So today I'm going to talk about cable cast on. I'm going to tell you why I use it. It's kind of a funny story. I'm going to show you how to do it. Then I'm going to tell you what I use it for and what it looks like in a finished object. So let's take a look. Welcome back to the Knit Life Oils YouTube channel. So today we're going to talk about cabled cast on. Now, I ask people a lot what their go-to cast on is, and a lot of people say long tail, and now that's totally fine. But mine is cabled cast on. And I'm going to tell you a story that will tell you why. So when I first started knitting, I learned long tail cast on like a lot of people do. I learned the pretzel, and then I did the whole thing, and I did this for a lot of years. And then I decided it was time to make a garment, like it was a poncho, I think. Please don't ask me why I make ponchos. I just do. So I started to cast this on, and I took it to knit night, and it was just me and my friend that night, and she was trying to help me get it started because this pattern was really confusing. And she's like, your stitches don't move on the needle. And I'm like, what? Okay, I did the long tail cast on. Like, what do you mean? And she goes, well, but this isn't going to work. And then she tears the whole thing out. And it was like a 200 or more stitch cast on. And my tail was the right length and it was all fine. She just tears it out. And I was like, what are you doing? And she goes, you're going to learn a new cast on today. I was like, why? She goes, because this isn't going to work. You can't move your stitches, and that is not how we cast on. We need to be able to move our stitches and do all the things with it. And I was like, okay. So she taught me cabled cast on. And I liked cabled cast on because I was able to control the tension. I could still make it even, like I like, and so that everything looks the same, uniform, but I couldn't make it any tighter than one needle width. Therefore, it was not the tightest thing in the world. And guess what? You can move my cast-on stitches. How great is that? Okay, so that is a little backstory of why I use the cabled cast on. That day I learned the cabled cast on, and I've used it every day since. Or every time I cast on a project. I probably don't cast on a project every day, contrary to what I might show on the internet. So, yeah, let me show you how to do it, and then I will tell you what I use it for and show you some examples. So I have my Knit Picks Aran Weight Muse yarn in the colorway Fearless. Shout out to Taylor Swift. And my Knit Picks needles. And we are going to do the cabled cast on. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to make a slip knot. And then we're going to put it on one needle. So for the first stitch, we are going to knit the stitch onto the needle. Like this. So then the second stitch, we're going to knit it on again, except instead of going into the stitch to create a new stitch, we are going to go between the two stitches. This is what makes it a cabled cast on. So we're going to make the new stitch, put it here, go in between the two stitches, make the new stitch, in between the two stitches, and make a new stitch. Okay, so here is my pro tip for you. Ready? So I could tighten it now, but see how tight this makes the stitches? I can barely get my needle between it, right? So instead of doing that, when we make the new stitch, we're going to wait to tighten it until we get this stitch back between the needles. And now I can pull all I want on that stitch, and it's going to be one needle width apart from the other stitch. So this allows me to make the stitches even, but still loose enough because they are all one needle width apart. So this is really helpful for me because I'm a tight knitter and I like to choke everything. But this makes it so that I can't make it any tighter than one needle width. And that allows my cast on stitches to be loose enough. So another thing I want to show you is that So this is a cabled cast on. It is a variation of a knitted cast on. So a lot of you will see my videos and go, oh, I do it by going into the stitch. So that's a knitted cast on. So let's go back to the beginning and I will show you the difference. So a knitted cast on is just like that first stitch that we did. So if you go into the stitch, create it. So you can actually do this by not even taking your needle out. You just kind of go to the next one and then you knit it on like this. Then you can just kind of move it to the back and go like this. So do you see how we're not going between the stitches, we're going into the stitch? That's a knitted cast on. So I can't control the tension as much with this one, so I prefer the cable just because I can control that tension. But the knitted cast on is the base for the cabled cast on. So cabled cast on is what's called a variation of a knitted cast on. So I'm going to go between these two stitches, can't pull it any tighter, and then we're going to put it onto the needle. So, and I will show you the difference. We'll do a few stitches here. So I'll show you the difference just in this. So do you see, here's the knitted cast on, kind of some bumps there. And this is the cabled cast on. It's a little more loopy. And do you see the difference when it changes? Okay, I hope you're getting excited about this cast on because it is useful for so many things. So I would tell you what I use it for, but it's basically everything. So I use it for sweaters. I use it for socks. I use it for shawls, scarves, pretty much anything that doesn't require a special cast on. I use cabled cast on, and I haven't had any issues. It works great for cowls. It's stretchy enough for a cuff down sock. It goes over my heel, which is a miracle in and of itself. And yeah, so I use it for basically everything, and it has worked great for me for a lot of years. And so the knitted cast on that we were talking about in the tutorial too does work also. It does make a little bit of a tighter edge, and so I would be concerned for me personally for like the top of a sock. Been there, done that. Don't want to make socks again that don't go over my heel. That was not a fun experience. I don't recommend it. So yeah, but I do like to use knitted cast on in places on a project that I have to cast on in the middle of a row, like to add a pocket, or when you bind off some stitches and need to cast on a couple in the middle. I like to use knitted cast on in that scenario, and it works really well. So one of the questions I get asked a lot on Instagram is, well, what does it look like in a finished project? So I'm going to show you. So this is my Just Keep Swimming cowl, and this is the cabled cast on edge. You can see it's kind of loopy, but it looks nice with ribbing. There's the ribbing there. Another question I get asked a lot is what bind off would match this cast on. So I'm not super into the matching thing. They just look like cast-ons and bind-offs to me. But I do like to use the Icelandic bind-off, and I think that they look pretty good together. So this is, so this side is cabled cast-on, this side is Icelandic bind-off, and they kind of both look a little bit loopy, and so I think that it works out pretty well. So this one has a cable cast-on in the yellow. Look how nice that looks. I love that. And this cowl has a Russian bind off, and I don't like these as much together. So the Russian bind off just has more loops to it essentially, and so it kind of stretches it out, and it doesn't quite look the same as the stitches do on the cabled cast on. So that probably wouldn't be my recommendation for cable cast on, but it does work. So, and this is my last example. This is my Adelaide cowl in Katie Killer's yarn. So there's the cabled cast on edge. It looks really cool with all the different colors there. Ribbing, cable cast on. And then this is an Icelandic bind off also. So I will show you these next to each other. This is the cable cast on, this is the Icelandic bind off edge, and they do look pretty similar in that regard. So I think that's everything about cabled cast on. So let me know if you have any questions and tell me what project you're going to use this on first, because I think it will be really useful for you. Talk soon.